Hi everyone, welcome to Inain's Forensic Classroom. I'm Inain and I'm here to take you on an exciting journey into the world of forensic science, the real science behind solving crimes, uncovering evidence, and delivering justice. In the last video, we discussed the history of forensic science and some important scientists and their contribution to this field. So today, let's talk about something very fascinating, the principles and laws of forensic science. So there are 7 principles and laws of forensic science. The first one is principle of individuality, which states that every object, either natural or man-made, has an individuality that is not duplicated in any other object. Now, what does that mean? So in simple words, it means that everything in this world, whether it's made by nature or by humans, it's unique. So no two things in this world are exactly the same, even if they look identical. Now you might be thinking, like, really? I mean, look at the grains of salt or sand. They all look exactly alike, right? Or you can take coins like 10 rupee coins from the same mint or currency notes which are printed with the same machine. They all seem the same. But here's the catch. So when you zoom in very closely under the right tools or techniques, there are some tiny differences that start showing up. Maybe one coin has a scratch, a small dent, or a slight change in the thickness. So even printed notes might have minute ink smudges. There are tiny differences in the fiber placements, or there are pressure marks that actually can make each one a little different. Now, this uniqueness comes from small imperfections. If we say that every object has an individuality, that means every object is unique, and this uniqueness comes from the small imperfections. Small imperfections as in there are tiny flaws in the material or how the machine has worked at that moment, or even dust particles that got in during the process. So these little things give every object its own unique identity. Let me give you a classic forensic example, which is of fingerprints. Fingerprints is a classic example of this principle of individuality. So we have checked millions of them over the years, and guess what? No two fingerprints have ever been found to be exactly the same, not even between identical twins or even two fingers of the same person. That's how unique our fingerprints are. So this principle is a game changer in forensic science. It helps us to link a crime to the person. Now think about it. The criminal is unique. Their method of committing a crime is unique. The weapon they have used might have tiny flaws or marks that makes it unique. So the crime scene, the footprints, hair, blood drops, or even the broken glass that you might find at a crime scene all carry their own signs of individuality. So in any investigation, our job is to find one of a kind clue, that unique thread that ties the criminal to the crime. So in short, nothing is ever exactly the same, and in forensic science, that's what makes it all the difference. Now coming to the second principle, which is principle of exchange, and it states that whenever any two objects come into contact with each other, there is always an exchange of minute particles or trace evidence between them. So this one is really cool because it's all about how crimes leave behind stories, even if we can't see them right away. So here's the idea. Whenever two objects come in contact, there are, for example, two objects. When both of these objects come in contact, they leave something behind on each other. Sounds very simple, right? But this idea plays a huge role in solving crimes. This principle was given by Sir Edmund Locard, and that's why it's also called as Locard's principle. Remember, it might be asked in your exams, what is Locard's principle? It's the same principle of exchange. He basically said every contact leaves a trace. Every contact leaves a trace. Now, let's break that down. Imagine a criminal breaks into a house. Even if he is very careful, he wears gloves, he avoids fingerprints, just by being there, he's already leaving behind clues. Maybe he left a strand of hair on the floor, a fiber from his shirt on the couch, or some mud from his shoes on the tiles. And at the same time, he's also picking up things from the crime scene, like dust from the room, either pollen from a plant, or tiny paint flakes from the window he climbed through. So what's happening here? It is a two-way exchange. It is a two-way exchange. The criminal always leaves behind something and takes away something. There is always, he leaves something and takes away something. That's the magic of this principle. No one can actually commit a crime without leaving some trace. Let's take a simple example. Suppose someone enters a house through a small ventilator. He steps on the windowsill and unknowingly he leaves his footprints behind in the dust. Maybe he even scrapes his cloth on the wall, and he also picks up some paint particles or fibers. Now, even if the criminal escapes, we have clues. And even if we can match those fibers or footprints back to him, then we have linked him to the crime scene, right? This principle actually helps forensic scientists collect trace evidence, things like hair, fiber, glass, soil, or even skin cells, and we can use them to piece together for what has happened. So remember, every contact leaves a trace, every step, every touch, every move at a crime scene can tell us something if we know how to look out for it. Coming to the third principle, which is law of progressive change, and it states that everything changes with the passage of time. Now, don't let that name scare you. It's actually a very simple concept. This law actually says that everything changes with time. Nothing stays the same forever. And in forensics, this can actually make a huge difference. Start with a very easy example. Imagine a crime has happened. Let's say hit and run case on a busy road. Now, when the investigators reach the spot immediately, they might find skid marks, broken glass, tire prints, or even a dropped item. But what happens if they get 3 hours late? Vehicles will pass, people walk over it, rain might fall, and just like that, the scene changes. Some of that evidences might be gone forever. That's what this law is all about. Time, time changes everything, whether it is a person, an object, or the crime scene itself. Even the criminal changes over time. So in person, we can also talk about criminal and we talk about victim. The criminal can change over a time. Their appearance might change, hair, beard, weight, or even his clothes. If we delay too long, the person might become hard to recognize. But some things like fingerprints, old bone fractures, or their DNA from blood or body fluids, those usually remain the same, and that's what helps us later on. Now let's talk about objects. A gun that is used in a crime might rust over time. A knife might get sharpened again. If you have a shoe, which might show more wear and tear after days of use. Even the tools develops new scratches or marks as they are used again and again. So these changes can make it actually harder to match the object to the crime unless we act very quickly. The crime scene itself is always changing. Think about the weather. Rain can wash away bloodstains. If there is wind, it can blow away fibers or dust particles. The animals might come and disturb the area. The vegetation of that area will grow, people walk by, and all of these things actually make the scene less like it was at the moment the crime has happened. That's why forensic experts always say the longer the delay, the harder the investigation. Time is not just about money. In forensic, time is evidence. So this law reminds us that every second counts after the crime. Investigators need to act fast, preserve the scene, collect the evidence, and document everything before time erases the truth. So this was the 3 principles and laws of forensic science. In the next video, we will talk about the other 4 principles and laws of forensic science. If you found this video interesting, give it a like, share it with your fellow forensic enthusiasts, and don't forget to subscribe to Inain's Forensic Classroom. If you have any questions, suggestions, or curious topics that you want me to cover, drop them in the comments and I would love to hear from you. Until next time, Keep observing, keep questioning, and remember, every clue tells a story. See you soon. Bye bye.